Hello everyone and welcome. Yes, my name is Arrowfire and welcome back to another episode of Look Out and Shout. And yeah, they're coming through thick and fast. Today we are reviewing, get it the right way up, this is TransArt's BWM06 Metal Jungle Metal T.Rex. This is their version of a Beast Wars Transmetal Megatron, and this is a very large box. For some reason the art is upside down on one side but not on the other, so you get some nice art of the figure itself, some cartoon art, but also a silhouette straight from the cartoon from the start of season 2, which is the infamous Predacons lining the landscape, where you have Quick Strike, Transmetal Tarantulas, Megatron, Inferno, and Waspinator. Maybe linking into future releases. Transmetal Tarantulas is on TransArt's horizon. Are we going to get Fusors as well? You think we're going to get it. But that is a very nice box, surprisingly big box. And what you get inside, you get the typical ways of accessories you get. The collector's card inside a little plastic sleeve, and what you do get with TransArt, and we will be using, is you don't get instructions, but you get a QR code to scan for videos showing instructions. And I've said before, this is probably going to be the way things go. If you can get a video uploaded to YouTube, it's a darn sight better than producing however many booklets of instructions that may or may not be helpful. Videos arguably are better. It was quite good. I followed the English translation and it was quite a simple transformation throughout anyway. Also comes with some stickers. I'll cover that a little bit later. This is to go into replacement for the electronics. Comes with 2 tails, one for beast mode, one for robot mode. I'll cover that in the final thoughts as well. And of course you get another set of gloves, because this is Chrome and we're going to do our magic tricks. Or Super Mario Land. Different facial expressions, different heads for the guns, which is a golden disc projector, as well as a very large blast effect. So yeah, that's what you get in terms of other accessories in the box. Just want to take this opportunity to say thank you to the guys at ShowZstore.com for sending me this figure. If you two want to pick up this figure, then just head over to their website. But before you do, make sure you go up to the reviewer code at the top of the homepage, where you can enter in your support your favorite reviewer code, and you can then enter the code FIRE1, FYRE1, and that will then enable some points to go to my account, which I in turn can use to do future purchases through ShowZ, which leads to future reviews on this channel. Thanks very much for your ongoing support so far. Right, let's get into it, shall we? And here he is in his robot mode, and that is a lovely presence this guy is giving off. Very much a homage to the original toy and obviously the cartoon. It's really gone for that toon accuracy. It's a lovely use of that bronze, that copper colour. It's shining through, and this should come as no surprise. TransArt do very good looking figures, and the ones that they've released in the Transmetal Beast Wars line so far, they look glorious when it comes to chrome. They just know what they're doing. The application of it, it's their strength. It's something that they perfected and they're working towards, and this is no exception. Now, yes, we have seen this figure before. This is a second batch release with maybe one big tweak to it, which I'll get to later. But the box, and then taking him out of the box, it's brilliant. There's a good deal of presence here. Although what I will say is he doesn't feel particularly heavy, and that's almost a negative. He looks like he should be full of die cast and weighs a ton and heavy ratchets, and he doesn't really have them. The legs are fine, but he looks fantastic. I've got him with Angry Face on at the moment. He comes with some others. But again, it's a gorgeous piece. It's surprisingly big, a smidgen bigger than the Masterpiece Beast Wars Megatron that came out from Takara. It's really interesting when you get them side by side. But he obviously comes with some accessories as well. This is all I can get on the turntable. Let's get in for a closer look. So straight away when you go and pick him up, again, he feels very light. It's not that he feels flimsy, you just kind of want him to be a bit heavier, but the posability is still absolutely fine. The expression is so good. Maybe there's a bit of tightness, and what I will say is stuff likes to get in the way, the shoulder pads in particular, and these side panels, which are part of the transformation, they're very easy to knock, so you have to kind of set him back into a pose. but you can get him into a very nice pose. One thing I have noticed is that on the previous release as well, people were complaining about breakages on the ankle, and this is a very strong metallic ball bearing on both ankle joints. I think this was flimsy before. Really, when it came to transformation, springs on the back were breaking, and they seem to have adjusted that. But that's not the key feature to this. The key feature, or rather the key discussion, is the eyes, is the light up feature. Now what you can notice here is that these eyes are painted on, and actually these I put stickers on because he comes with some stickers. You got ones for the T.Rex mode, the chest of bot mode, which I've applied, and all the individual heads, and you get 2 of each. Now I think, because I've tried to put the eyes on, the eyes are a little too big. The sticker for the angry face that I've tried to apply on that eye is a bit bigger than the slot for the eye. It overhangs. I wonder if this is for if you have the first version, because really, they don't need stickers on them. If you look at the bot mode at the moment, that looks fine. What you can get with light up eye features is that when they're not lit up, they can look quite dead. They need the batteries to give them a sense of red glare and life, and otherwise it's just dark, clear plastic. I'm not particularly a fan of it, and this was really a big feature with this. The delaying of the release of it is the previous version had light up feature for the eyes, which looked great, but would also be subject to a fault. Now the second one has come out, they've taken out the electrics altogether. But I actually think that looks good. I think it gives a great sense of character to the face. All the other faces come with a similar feature, which I'll show you in a minute how you attach them all in. But yeah, that's how he looks. Posability is, again, pretty good, but stuff does want to clatter around a bit. There's a bit of kibble. Ankle tilt is quite minimal. I'm not too impressed with that, if I'm honest, because the legs otherwise are pretty good for posing, but you can't get the ankles to tilt right enough to get him into a stable enough pose without him falling over. See, he's not going to retain that pose. And that's a bit of a shame, because you get good rotation at side of the arm, but again, that panel wants to come loose. That's actually quite annoying. But you can rotate on the bicep and at the elbow, and good rotation at the wrist as well. Head rotation down and up, left and right. So yeah, it's a bit kibble accentuated. Leg ratchets are fine, ankle tilt is minimal, and you do have to kind of reset him a little bit. But he looks fantastic. I can't say he doesn't. Accessory wise, now he comes with 2 other faces plus the one he's already got applied. He comes with a traditional placid frowny face, and he comes with a bit more recognisable happy face. Say it with me. Yes. And these can be applied quite straightforward. So you tilt the head up a bit, pull the head off, that brings off the whole front panel. You can see where the electrics would have been housed there previously. You then get the head and you push the faceplate off by pushing it inwards, leaving you with the outer shell. Get your face of choice, you apply it by that circular peg that's in there, line up, clip in, and then reapply, and he's now a happy chappy. One pose that I like to get him into, but he doesn't seem too cooperative to do so, is his shoulder cannons. That, okay, they're scarcely shoulder cannons, but he did it in the cartoon. You can pull the T-Rex talons forward, he would shoot them from his shoulders, but they actually will come off. They're on ball joints, and if you try and get them a bit in position, they will come loose. So that's a bit of a shame that they're not more propped as such. They're much more there for T-Rex mode. But you can do it, you can recreate that pose. But for accessories, this is where it gets a little bit complicated. He comes with not 1, but 2 tails. One considerably bigger. This is actually going to be for the T-Rex mode. It's a faux part. He doesn't actually wear this on his arm. There's no way to even apply it, even if you wanted to. I think that's a bit of a shame. I'll go into that when the beast mode comes round, but you get this one that he wears, and this one that he also wears, but on his back end. In terms of the robot mode, you get this, and it's a bit awkward to apply. I'm not a fan of it. You've got these hinges you have to a slide into the grooves either side of the forearm, but you have to get the arm into a funny, or rather the hand, into a crumpled in pose so it fits. It's a bit awkward to apply, and there's actually a bit of another problem with that, which I'll show you in a second. Whilst the arm looks absolutely fine and hinges just for his gun as it should, you can also apply a different head to it. So you take that off, and it comes with a golden disc player. Actually, when he's recording the fragment of what's left of the golden disc, and you apply that in on the edge of the ball joint that's quite tight and doesn't make a click but does apply, and he can have that on in his place. Now, for the purpose of getting these on, these are quite difficult. Whether this is right, I don't know. You have to get the arm, make sure the thumb is put into the palm so there's nothing protruding, and have the fingers collapsing around it. Again, I'm guessing this is right, and you have it turned upward onto himself, and then you try to nestle it in, and see, once it's on, it's fine. But the problem I've noticed, and I've noticed this on both arms, is that if you try and get it up like that, it has a tendency to droop, and that is disappointing. It can hold it if you don't ask too much of it, but it's doesn't take much, and it wouldn't say it's a firm connection, but that's the tolerance is on the shoulder or the elbow joint or both. But if you try and do a bit of adjusting, it will not take much for it to droop down, and that's not heavy. This is where I feel the figure is lacking in die cast. That's a bit of a shame because it looks so good, and to see that tolerance issues, that's a minus in my book. That's a real shame. And applying that gun is not fun. It's hard work. You've really got to crumple up the fist. If I'm doing it right, you've got to crumple up the fist to get it on. And I wouldn't say when the hinges are on these side grooves that they really want to bite. They're on hinges themselves. They slot into the grooves and you can pull the hinges apart to release them. It's easy to get them on and off, a little bit too easy. It doesn't feel massively secure. When you see the drooping as well, that is a bit of a disappointment. So that's his accessories. He comes with a fair bit of stuff, and also with this he comes with a blast effect, which is quite garish, quite big. You have to really open these wide. To get them in. And if there was drooping before, there's definitely drooping now. Put on now the placid face so you can see a bit more what that looks like, and I've taken off the arm piece just for movability. What I did notice as well is I've noticed that the feet are almost like a glossy translucent, which surprises me because it doesn't really go with anything else on this figure. We got a metallic paint for the faux chest, and we got heavy chrome for when we get into the beast mode. So why does the feet not match the chest or chrome? That feels a bit odd to me. It doesn't even match the face. The head and the face, or rather the faux chest and the face, do match. Why wouldn't the feet as well? I was always taught, match your shoes with your belt. Now, comparison-wise, let's see which ones we got to hand. Here he is alongside Masterpiece Takara, Masterpiece Optimus Primal. Again, just the first iteration, so these two never shared the screen alongside each other. Megatron was always big. That is quite a big difference. The Hasbro release of Covert Agent Ravage. These two did share a scene in Season 2, and I love these two standing side by side. There is the TransArt version available, but this is the one that I've got. KO version of a Masterpiece Tigatron from Takara. Again, that scale is pretty spot on. Chug scale representation of Legacy Inferno. Takara Masterpiece Beast Wars Dinobot. Love these two side by side. A Toy Mage 4th party knockoff of Beast Wars Megatron from the Takara mould, and these two again. The TransArt version slightly dwarfs him. There's really not a lot in it, but he does dwarf him a little bit. And here are some other Megatron comparisons for your consideration. Again, not quite the same timeline, but it's good to see them all side by side. Okay, let's put these on and get transformed up, shall we? And here he is in his beast mode, and again, that's as better pose as I can get him in just to get him on the turntable. His tail isn't normally meant to be so proud like that. That is gorgeous. This is this figure's selling point. And also a remarkably easy transformation. I mean, it should be, but think of Grimlock's transformation with dino head over robot head, back panels coming around to form the chest, the legs are the legs, and the tail sticks on the back. And that's it. It's remarkably easy, but it looks so good. It looks better in this mode. Not just the chrome, not just the paint, although that's a big part of it, it's the expression. It's the fact that it looks so well proportioned from body to feet to head to tail. It completely transforms a figure, and how it all goes from a fairly slender bot mode into this. It really is something special. It's such a good looking figure, a great update to the original toy, which was good in its own right, but TransArt doing TransArt things here. This is what they're very good at, and it's a just ton of character. You can hear the expressions of Megatron coming through this. I'm just completely blown away by it. Where I was almost a bit underwhelmed by the bot mode, this more than makes up for it. Let's get in for a closer look. And of course, before we handle this figure, we have to put on our emergency gloves. Yep, provided by TransArt, because nobody asked for them. So they're there to be used, so I guess I'm going to wear them. This is such a gorgeous figure. The expression is to die for, with the sort of double-headed expression in that you can hold down the jaw and get a good look down and still get a mouth open. There is so much to like about that. It does share a lot of characteristics with the Takara Masterpiece Megatron. There's a lot of similar builds here. You have a nice little tongue wangling as well. Now what I haven't done now is, as is a bit of a key point here with this set, is that he has flat painted eyes. There's no electrics here. You have the stickers to apply. I've yet to do that. I will do that by the time I stick some photos up at the end. But it's got good posability as anything. What you can do is you can open these out, these side panels that clip down as part of the transformation. And with these side bits out the way, you can actually get a bit of a wider pose. But this is where I do find the angle tilt lets the figure down a little bit. You can't extend it to get the full rotation. That final claw is not flush to the floor, which is a bit of a shame, but good rotation at the hips. Again, it's straight from the robot mode, so posability for some dynamic poses is not a problem here. One thing that is a tiny bit of a shame is this bit under here, which houses the robot hands. Now, it lines up, but I cannot get it to fully flush in. If I hold it in place, that's everything all together, and then as soon as I let go, the gap appears again. I can't get that part to fully hold shut. It doesn't want to bite. So that's a bit of a shame. There is the odd scuff mark here and there on the brass bit or the copper bit, which is again a bit of a shame. Again, this is why they're giving you these kind of gloves, to prevent you from causing any kind of long-term damage, but it is quite minor. So of course, one thing that we must do is get him into his Transmetal alternate mode, or if you like, his abilities in the Transmetal form, which give him the ability of flight and the ability to rollerblade, because who doesn't want a rollerblading Tyrannosaurus? And it's actually quite straightforward. These come out keeping the side panels down, rotate them on their side. Yes, I have dispatched the gloves for the minute, and then the wheels come down. And what's quite good about this is he rolls. He actually rolls. I love that. The wheels actually move. You can actually roller skate a Tyrannosaurus, and that is good fun, because I seem to recall the original toy couldn't do that. It was just fixed wheels, so he could actually wheel along, a little bit squeaky, but there you go. That's him in his T.Rex flight mode. Okay, so comparison-wise, we've got a lot to get through. Just because he's in beast form and he's here he is alongside Metagate's version of their Air King, their version of Pterosaur. Slightly different incarnations, these two didn't exist at the same time, but that's how you get beast formers together. Going back in time a bit, but these two did share the screen together. Here he is with the original Transmetal release of Rampage. He's missing some legs and some antennas, but more or less he's there. Now for some dino comparison, here he is alongside Geiger Power's Superator, their version of a G1 Grimlock, Planet X Cacus, their version of an IDW Grimlock, and a Toy Mage KO version of the Takara Beast Wars Megatron. Now, this is a notorious mess to get into this mode. It's very panelly, and the panels do not hold, so that's the best I can get these two side by side. But it gives you an idea of scale. They look really good together. If you've got a better version of this mold to have side by side, yeah, these two would look fantastic. And a Legacy Transmetal 2 Megatron alongside Transmetal 1. Different scales, but that's good to see them together. So what are my final thoughts on this masterpiece of a figure? Well, I will be honest that I wasn't that taken when I got it out of the box. My first impression of the robot mode was that it's very sizable, very big, and it's a bit like, wow, that kind of impactful feeling when you take it out of the polystyrene, take it out of the plastic shelling, and you're like, wow, this is big. This is really an imposing Megatron. And when I held it in the hand, it didn't feel like it matched up with the visual expectation. It looked hefty. It looked well built. And it's not to say it's not, but you got that sense of denseness just from looking at it. When it picked it up, it didn't feel it. It felt very lacking in die-cast. This doesn't carry much die-cast in it. You could argue maybe it needs to, maybe it doesn't. And I thought that's a little bit underwhelming in robot mode. I felt some parts that kept sort of coming apart, like the shoulder for transformation. That's annoying. The bits gets in its way, the shoulder pads. I feel the shoulder movement could have done with a hard ratchet. I feel the legs could have done with harder ratchets than what they do have. And the ankle tilt is limited. And whilst I like what it does and I like how it looks, I love the expressions of the face sculpt and the paint is sublime, I was just a little bit underwhelmed. I was expecting more until I got it in this mode. Until I put it in its T.Rex form and I said at the time, this is this figure's selling point, and my God, it is. It's beautiful. It's so good. And that's, I said though, this is what TransArt do. Their paint, their chrome, their translucent colouring, it's what they excel at. So is it any wonder? But this captures it so perfectly. It's not without its limitations, but I will say the transformation was fun and very straightforward. Like I said, if you've done a Grimlock transformation, it's more or less the same. Maybe the most fiddly bit was applying the tail, but even that wasn't too difficult. It's got a few scuff marks here and there, and I wish that chest piece would tab in a bit more. But other than that, it's pretty good, and it isn't that expensive, relatively speaking. But again, the ankle tilt does annoy me because you can get it into good wide leg stances by applying, or rather detaching the hip skirts to give out a wide pose at the legs. That is all there. But the ankle tilt is that. Actually got more of an outward ankle tilt than an inward one. And that is annoying. It's got a lot of presence. It's got a lot to do for good poses, particularly with the tail. I really like that. I just feel that is a bit of a miss for me. But I do like what it does. It doesn't have tolerance issues. I am noticing a few more scuff marks here and there, very slight ones, and it's not enough to take away from the gorgeousness of the paint. The tails, I don't get that. I understand why. This is much more in proportion to the robot mode. This is in much more proportion to the Dino mode. But 2 seems needless. Why would you put 2 in? Why wouldn't you just have something that could collapse outward and make a bigger tail one piece? Surely, I mean, this is just all on individual ball joints. It could all expand. I don't see why they felt the need to put 2 in. That's an odd choice. Now let's talk about the electrics. So this is the second release of this figure, the second batch release, quite a way after the first release. What was it? December 22, just before Christmas, and people got it, and I believe, although I didn't hear too much of this, that they were fault with the electrics. So here we are now, May 23, only just with the second batch, and they've taken the electrics out. Okay, now, electric light-up eyes in Transformers is a problem, maybe, for sustainability and ongoing measure, but I've never known it to be such a hindrance. And I'm actually just looking, not that I've got it open, but it looks like you could still take the piece of the head apart where the electrics would live. I haven't done it, and of course I have no need to. But they're just now painted eyes. They've taken the electrics out altogether, and they've given us some stickers instead. But as I said at the time, with the stickers being applied to these, and I've now put them on the T.Rex, yes, it's a slightly bit more reflective, but as they're painted eyes now, you don't need the stickers. I wonder if the stickers are to cover up the dead eye look of the non-lit up version on the first release, if you were so inclined to have it. So that's fine. What I can't work out though is why did it take so long to remove the electrics? The housing is still there. You look in the back of the robot mode when you take off the head to change the faces. There's still a gap for two of the small batteries to sit in. So they've just removed the electrics components from December through to May. That's a long time just to remove electrical components, which is not exactly intrinsically built into the figure. They can be removed. There was talk about the springs for the wheels, and people were having some breakages there. Maybe they spent some time on that as well, and that could be the reason for the delay. But I couldn't work out why the second batch took so long to come out. Nevertheless, we are where we are. I do love how it looks in beast mode. I do wish it was a bit heftier, because in comparison to my last review, the Fans Toys Chomp, which is just there, that's a smaller figure, particularly in robot mode, side by side to this robot mode. And that weighs considerably more because that's got a lot more die cast to it. Now, yes, that figure costs more. You are getting more bang for your buck. But I would have liked this to have weighed a little bit more, but I love how it looks. It screams the character, the glossiness, the bravado that comes through it. And as I was taking the photos, I love the comparisons to the Code of Hero, putting it alongside Dinobot and how he has this kind of final speech, mostly in this form, that arrogance that just oozes through with copper and metallic purple. I wish that front piece would tap in more. That's a bit of a shame. I love the beast mode. I just wasn't as blown away for the robot mode as I would have liked to have been. It's not to say it's inherently bad. I just wish I was a bit more stunned by it, because I really was quite impressed with their rat trap. But this didn't blow me away as much as I would have liked, but I'm very pleased I've got it in my collection nevertheless. So based on this, I give this figure 3.5 Rodimus Star badges. That might seem a bit low. It is really the lack of ankle tilt I don't like, the fact it took so long to come out again, and the fact that the bot mode was somewhat underwhelming. But if I was just to score it onto this alt mode alone, this beast mode, it'd be a much, much higher score, 4.5 bordering on 5. It doesn't need electrics. I'm not too fussed about having electric light up eyes. I just want it to look good in poses and in photos, and so flat eyes, painted eyes will do that. It will give that level of expression. I really love it. The Transmetal collection is going on nicely. I can only imagine what they're going to go on to next. They've got their Transmetal Tarantulas on pre-order. But yeah, this is a very good figure, one I'm very inclined to have in my collection. I've just got to find somewhere to put it now. No, that's not going to work. And there we go. That is my review of TransArt Metal T.Rex, their version of a Beast Wars Transmetal Megatron. I'll put some photos up in the end, but thanks for watching. And as always, I will see you on the next one.